MicroStrategy getting included into the NASDAQ 100 is not only monumental for Bitcoin and the MicroStrategy shareholders, it has the potential to cause a massive short squeeze on both MicroStrategy and Bitcoin. So let's dive in to why that might happen. MicroStrategy joining the NASDAQ 100 is expected on the first day of the launch to have $2.1 billion flown into the ETF in a single day. Now, you might be asking, how big is the NASDAQ 100? Well, if you look here, you could see that the market cap of the NASDAQ 100 is $26 trillion. That's right, trillion with a T. The NASDAQ 100 is made up of 100 of the largest non-financial companies listed on the NASDAQ stock exchange. So why is MicroStrategy being listed in this? Well, it's the share price, folks. It's the share price of what it's been taking off here. It's been one of the best performing stocks of the year to date, bringing in over 495% in a single year. But you might be asking yourself, why would MicroStrategy be going through a potential short squeeze with the massive amount of inflows that we're seeing, the performance of MicroStrategy, and much more? Well, it's because of the massive amounts of bears there are out there for MicroStrategy and for Bitcoin. The company's strategy involves issuing shares and debt into buying financials, but the financials are weak, or so they claim. And so a lot of people view MicroStrategy as a very risky stock or a risky play because of this Bitcoin play. So a lot of the people that are purchasing MicroStrategy are purchasing call options, or short options, which about 20% of the MicroStrategy stock that is held short. And so this could see the short squeeze coming out here and coming to roost. And that's because the massive amounts of short capital into MicroStrategy, on top of the massive amounts of inflows that we'll see from the NASDAQ 100. As I said, here earlier, $2.1 billion in the ETF are being expected to buy here. MicroStrategy has seen the massive amounts of increases come throughout this entire year. And this is just par for the course, right? So a lot of bears are seeing MicroStrategy as a potential bubble. I don't see it this way, and many other Bitcoin hodlers do not see it this way as well, because of the MicroStrategy flywheel that they've been implementing here. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is this flywheel and why does MicroStrategy affect Bitcoin? Well, let's dive into it here. So the MicroStrategy flywheel, to break it down simply, MicroStrategy issues debt of their own company to make sure that they can potentially, pay off this debt. Then with that debt, they use it to buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin price increases, thus making MicroStrategy's market cap increase because they have Bitcoin on their balance sheet. MicroStrategy's then market cap increases, and then it increases its weight in the indices it's increasing. So why is this important? So initially here, MicroStrategy is going to be the 40th biggest holding in the NASDAQ 100 with a 0.47% weight. Now, as we're lining out here in this flywheel, as Bitcoin increases, that percentage increases as well. So I anticipate not only for MicroStrategy's percentage in the NASDAQ 100 to increase, but also for Bitcoin's price to increase in turn with that. So these things are all aligned, and MicroStrategy will continue to buy Bitcoin. But let's keep diving into this, as we're not finished with that just yet. So it's increasing its weight in industries, so thus it issues more equity in order to buy more Bitcoin. And so once Bitcoin prices increase, then again, the MicroStrategy market cap increases, thus increasing the weight in industries. then it'll issue more equity again and buy more Bitcoin. Thus, it's repeating the cycle to buy more and more debt in order to buy Bitcoin. So, why is MicroStrategy a valuable company to purchase, or why are people looking at MicroStrategy? People are looking at MicroStrategy because, one, it's a company that's regulated and everything else, so you have access to it in pension funds. Other countries, like we've seen Sweden and Norway actually come out and say that they've been purchasing shares of MicroStrategy. And for potential retirement accounts, some retirement accounts still do not allow you to purchase Bitcoin, hold Bitcoin, and that aspect. So it allows you to get exposure to Bitcoin in every single account possible. And so with this, with the price of Bitcoin pumping, we're still seeing MicroStrategy purchase Bitcoin and utilize this flywheel. On Monday, MicroStrategy bought more Bitcoin, acquired nearly 21,500, a little bit more than that, of Bitcoin, nearly at $2.1 billion, almost at 100K a coin. So no matter what Michael Saylor is buying, he's gone on plenty of interviews and said if Bitcoin was at $1 million a coin, he would buy it. So no matter what, he's going to keep buying on the way up. Now, MicroStrategy is nearly to that $500,000 mark, and they've acquired $25.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, valued at nearly, or the average purchase price nearly at 60K a coin. And so sitting here at over 100K today, where this price is humming along, that's a pretty decent return, folks. That's over 50% of the return on investment for MicroStrategy on their Bitcoin purchases alone. And so as Bitcoin price keeps humming, MicroStrategy is going to keep buying more and more Bitcoin, and thus the flywheel is in order. But with all this, why are there still bears out there? Why are there people still doubting MicroStrategy, doubting Michael Saylor, doubting Bitcoin? I couldn't tell you why, but we still have a lot of people in the traditional financial markets thinking that this is a Bitcoin gamble, not understanding that Bitcoin is the best collateral that you could potentially put on your balance sheet. It's the best way for you to continue to allow your company to prosper, and so on and so forth. So initially, they thought it would be challenging in order to make MicroStrategy join the NASDAQ 100. See, this article was written on November 29th, but as we're sitting here today, a few days later, 2 weeks later, MicroStrategy is now poised to enter into the NASDAQ 100, and investors are really screaming for it. They want more of MicroStrategy in the NASDAQ 100 because of the potential upside here. Investors are also looking at the potential upside and looking at returning value to their shareholders. So how do they do that? You get the best performing assets or best performing stocks in the NASDAQ 100. So with that, many analysts see with this short squeeze, you can see an inclusion of potential, 59% upside for MicroStrategy alone. And so with that, like I pointed out, MicroStrategy would then, utilize the flywheel, buy more Bitcoin, which they've been doing, dump billions of dollars weekly into Bitcoin, which in turn would be billions of dollars flown into Bitcoin. The flywheel is being enacted. When the flywheel is being enacted, Bitcoin price is going to be going up because Michael Saylor is going to be buying Bitcoin. So the more debt and the more availability to funds that Michael Saylor is going to have in order to buy Bitcoin, the more that he's going to be able to buy, the more that Bitcoin that he's going to purchase, and thus, the amount of supply that's being put out into the market on a daily basis is less than the amount that's being bought. We have buying pressure now from not only from MicroStrategy, but from the ETFs, as well as potentially nation states as well. So MicroStrategy has started the flywheel effect, has started a bunch of this FOMO purchasing, and on top of that, we're seeing some of the highest demand for MicroStrategy stock that we've ever seen here before. And it had a little bit of pressure on it in a singular day where they were saying MicroStrategy needed to perform on this day, November 29th, in order for it to join the NASDAQ 100, which is interesting, right? Because we've seen it now It's joining 21 hours ago. They broke this news that MicroStrategy is going to join. It's going to set and join the 13th, which is in 2 single days. So all of this can blow the top off here in just 2 short days, and it could drive $21 billion within to this ETF for the share buying. And so the announcement's scheduled for Friday. That means a lot of people are going to try to front run into Bitcoin and see, purchasing Bitcoin, purchasing MicroStrategy stock. So on this Friday, on this glorious Friday, we could see a shit ton of money just being flown right into Bitcoin and right into MicroStrategy. And like we reviewed here earlier, there's analysts are saying a 59% upside, 59% in the rest of the year. So, this, could see a potential boost, move significantly, boost the countries and fresh inflows from major ETFs like QQQ. And so this development, coupled with MicroStrategy's aggressive Bitcoin acquisition strategy, has led to a target price of $600, representing a 59% upside. So, like we said here, we're sitting at $408 for MicroStrategy stock. This analyst believes we could be heading upwards to a $600 price target, which would see a 59% increase, blowing the top off here. And all of that with just by entering the NASDAQ 100. So on top of that, just remember, it's still at a very low weight of the NASDAQ 100 with 49 or 47, excuse me, the 40th highest weight with a 0.47 weight of the NASDAQ 100. And on top of that, we can see Bitcoin and money being flown into this MicroStrategy stock, and more and the company can thus have the flywheel continue to go. Bitcoin will continue to pump. We'll see MicroStrategy issue more debt, buy more Bitcoin, market cap will increase. And you guys know the drill at this point. You know what's going to happen with Bitcoin. And all the bears are sitting here trying to short the stock. And it does not make any sense because of, we're seeing a total of here we go. We can see some of the MicroStrategy's incredible performance that they're lining out here, but for some reason they're still bearish. Incredible performance can be attributed to the few's considerable Bitcoin holdings, which total more than $17.3 billion. And that said, an even larger portion could increase in the value of come from their pyramiding strategy. So they call the flywheel more of pyramiding, but it continues to issue debt and people continue to buy it. So its underlying SaaS business is extremely sticky. Michael Saylor, the Giga Chad that he is, will continue to buy Bitcoin and continue to keep this thing humming. And then the NASDAQ, with this massive amount of money being flown in on a daily basis, will keep Bitcoin and MicroStrategy to taken off here. And it'll represent about, 20% of its daily volume, which would be insane. So seeing all this, I don't know how you couldn't be bullish on the Bitcoin price, how you couldn't be bullish on MicroStrategy, and what all is going on there, because the Giga Chad himself, Michael Saylor, is back at it again. He is going to, keep on humming, keep buying Bitcoin, no matter the price. He even said on the Dave Portnoy Davey Day Trader Global that even if the price were to get up to $1 million, he would still be buying Bitcoin at $1 billion a day, $1 billion a coin. So, we're sitting here at a 101,000 during the time of this live stream. And, Michael Saylor bought Bitcoin the other day. So he bought Bitcoin earlier this week. I'll be looking for him to potentially be buying every single week, every single Monday, as we're seeing this ride up here going further, because, he's joining the NASDAQ 100. So I wouldn't be surprised if they announce that maybe there is some sort of regulation. I'll have to look into that to see of how much he could buy after the announcement, to see if there's maybe an avoidance of that pump prior to the MicroStrategy officially joining the NASDAQ 100. But either way, This is extremely bullish for MicroStrategy, extremely bullish for Bitcoin and everything going forward, as we're going to see massive, massive amounts of inflows. So if this is your first time here, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys all for tuning in, and I'll see you at the next one.